So, good day class. So, today we'll be continuing our discussion sa introduction to income taxation. So, for this video, okay, for this discussion, we will be discussing itong mga benefit, the concept of realized benefit. Okay, so when we say benefit, right, this is any form of advantage, right, derived by the taxpayer. So, we say that there is benefit if it increases net worth of the taxpayer. So, hence, the benefit is taxable. Kung meron tayong benefit, this is actually taxable under sa income tax. Okay, so an increase in the net worth occurs when one receives income, donation, or inheritance. So, kapag meron tayong income, it increases our money, right? That is a benefit. Kung meron tayong donation, right, ma, ano, magkakaroon tayo ng additional property without any expense, right? So, yun ay isang benefit, nag-increase ang net worth natin doon. Kapag inheritance din, halos the same lang din sa donation na magkakaroon tayo ng isang property without any expense from us. So, that is a benefit. So, all of those are taxable. So, the following are not benefits, hence are not taxable. So, the first one is the receipt of loan. So, this is not taxable kasi nga, this is not a benefit kasi even though nakaka-receive tayo ng utang, na kung di ba kung meron tayong loan, makakuha tayo ng pera. But even if we increase or if we receive money, even if our money increases, nadadagdagan din naman yung mga utang natin, right? So the net worth in this case, kapag meron tayong loan, wala siyang effect sa net worth natin kasi nga nag-increase nga yung pera natin pero nag-increase din yung utang natin. So nag-offset sila ang dalawa. So wala siyang effect sa net worth natin. Right? So for example, uh a umutang tayo sa isang bangko ng let's say 100,000. So nag-increase nga ang pera natin by 100,000 but meron naman tayong additional utang or additional liability na 100,000. So there is an offset. Na-offset yung increase in asset natin na 100,000 with the increase of liability of 100,000. So the effect sa net worth natin is wala, zero. Right? So a receipt of loan is not taxable. The next one is a discovery of lost properties. Right? So under kasi sa under sa law natin, kapag naka-discover tayo ng isang lost property, we as the finder has an obligation to return the lost property to the owner. Okay, so kailangan nating isauli. So even though tayo yung nakahanap ng isang lost property, yung law, it does not treat us as the owner, right? So kailangan natin isauli. So there is no increase in net worth. So hindi siya taxable. And letter C, receipt of money or property to be held in trust for or to be remitted to another person. So in this case, meron tayong nakuhang pera pero hindi sa atin to, we are just holding it for in trust or to be remitted to another person. So hinawakan lang natin para sa ibang tao or hinawakan natin para ibigay sa ibang tao. Right? So for example, meron tayong let's say boss, right? Meron tayong boss. Tapos sinabi ng boss natin, tayo yung magko-collect ng isang utang, isang receivable niya sa nakautang sa kanya. So pumunta tayo, kinolect natin yung let's say 50,000 na pera. So tayo yung nag-collect pero it should be remitted to our boss, right? So kahit na nakakuha nga tayo ng pera, na we receive money or property, but this is just only interest or it is to be remitted to another person. So walang effect ito sa net worth natin. Kaya hindi ito taxable. Okay? So, the next term is yung realized. So, the next term nga, realized, uh, from the term realized benefit. So, realized means earned. Okay? So, kailangan nating earn ang isang benefit for us to be entitled of it. So, it requires that there is a degree of undertaking or sacrifice. So, kailangan pa rin natin mag-effort uh, para ma-entitle tayo sa isang benefit. So, here we have requisites of realized benefit. First, there must be an exchange transaction. Right? So, for example, income, right? Income. For an income to be realized, kailangan merong exchange transaction. For example, uh, naka-receive tayo ng pera from our sales na 100,000, pero kailangan nating ibigay yung binenta natin, right? For example, yung cost niya is 70,000. So there is an exchange. Kahit na naka-receive tayo ng pera, meron din naman tayong give up. There is an exchange transaction. The next one, the transaction involves another entity. Okay, so hindi sapat, right? Hindi sapat na iisa lang yung ang entity. For example, an example of this is husband and wife, right? So under the law, husband and wife iisa lang sila, isang entity. Okay, so kapag ang isang husband nag-donate siya, right? Kapag nag-donate siya sa isang wife, hindi 'yon under sa law, hindi 'yon isang benefit, right? Kasi iisa lang silang entity. So there should be another entity. So for example, isang yung husband tapos yung cousin niya, right? So kapag yung husband naman dinonate niya yung same sa cousin niya, iba na yung entity. So, that is a realized benefit. Okay, so the transaction should involve another entity. And last, of course, it increases the net worth of the recipient. So, this na-discuss na to sa benefit part. So, okay, so we have types of transfer. So, hindi dapat ito complex transaction. Type of transfers dapat ang nakalagay dito. So, we have the types of transfers. We have your bilateral exchanges, unilateral transfers, and complex transactions. So, when we say bilateral transfers or exchanges, these are your sales and barter. Okay, so sale, nagbebenta tayo for cash. For yung barter naman, nag-exchange tayo ng other property for another property. Okay? So, itong mga bilateral transactions na to or bilateral exchanges, these are also called as onerous transaction. Okay? Onerous. While the unilateral transfers naman, these are yung mga unilateral lang, right? So, isa lang yung nagbibigay. Kaya unilateral. Well, sa bilateral, dalawa yung there is a give and take, right? So, you give away something and take away something under sa bilateral. Pero sa unilateral, isa lang yung nagbibigay at isa lang yung nagre-receive. So, under sa unilateral transfers, an example is yung mga succession or yung donation, okay? So, yung succession and donation, right? As you can imagine, isa lang yung nagbibigay. So yung nagre-receive, wala siyang gini-give up, right? Wala siyang gini-give up para makuha ang isang yung gain na yon or yung benefit na yon. Okay, so yung mga gains na nare-receive natin under sa bilateral exchanges, right? For example, yung mga sales and barter, they are earned or realized benefit. Right? Kasi nga, nare-realize ito kasi meron, if we go back, meron tayong exchange transaction. Right? So, bilateral changes, there is a earned or realized gain. While yung sa unilateral naman, yung mga gratuitous transactions, they are not realized kasi nga wala tayong earning process. Wala tayong exchange transaction. Under sa unilateral, under sa donation or succession, even though meron tayong benefit, hindi ito isang earned benefit or realized benefit kasi nga there is no exchange transaction, wala tayong gini-give up para makuha ang isang benefit na yon. So, dahil ang bilateral exchanges ay ano ay merong exchange or these are realized, thus it is subject to income tax. While yung mga unilateral naman dahil hindi ito realized, wala tayong exchange transaction, these are not subject to transfer tax. These are not subject to income tax, but rather subject to transfer tax. Okay, so mga transfer tax na yun, yung mga donors tax and estate tax. Okay, so ganun yun yung mga subject dito, yung mga donations natin and successions. While yung last naman, the complex transactions, these are yung part gratuitous and part onerous. So part siya, part bilateral and part unilateral. So the gratuitous portion should be subject to transfer tax, while the onerous portion or yung bilateral part is subject to income tax. Okay? So, these are commonly referred to as yung mga transfers for less than full and adequate consideration. So, kung meron tayong mga transfer na less than full consideration, it is considered to be a complex transaction. So, so let's have an example. Meron tayong isang taxpayer, right? Binenta niya ang isang binenta niya ang isang kotse niya na nagkakalaga ng let's say 50,000. So nung binili niya yung kotse, 50,000 ang worth niya. Pero ngayon ibebenta na niya sa isang let's say kumare niya. Okay, so ibebenta niya sa isang kumare niya. So ang market value ng kotse na yon for today is let's say 100,000. Yun yung market value, or ibig sabihin ng market value, yun yung price kapag ibebenta niya sa isang market or sa other buyers, right? Yun yung price dapat 100,000. Pero sabi niya, dahil kumare kita, ibebenta ko na lang sa iyo ng 80,000, sabi doon. So instead of 100,000, 80,000 na lang yung yung selling price ng taxpayer natin, right? So yung 30,000 na gain na yon, yung 80,000 na naka-receive niyang pera compared to this 50,000 na cost ng kotse, yung 30,000 na yon, 30,000 is subject to income tax because that is the owner's portion, right? Kasi nga meron tayong give up na part, right, which is the car, tapos naka-receive tayo ng gain na 30,000, yun yung onerous transaction, meron tayong exchange transaction doon. But the 20,000 which is computed as 80,000 na pinambenta natin less the 100,000 na market price. Yung 20,000 na yun, that is the gratuitous portion of the transaction. So gratuitous kasi parang dinonate niya lang yung 20,000, parang binigyan niya ng discount ng 20,000 yung kumare niya, right? So it can be interpreted as giving a donation of 20,000. So yung 20,000 na yun, that is the gratuitous portion of the transaction. Thus, it is subject to transfer tax. Okay, so yun yung mga complex transaction na instead na ibebenta mo or ibebenta mo for their proper value, binibigyan mo siya ng discount kasi for I don't know what reasons. Okay? So the next part is the modes of receipt or realization benefit. So a benefit is an exchange transaction is said to be finished or done if there is a receipt of that benefit, right? Kung na-receive na natin yung benefit. So here we have two modes of receipt. So we have actual and constructive receipt. So an actual receipt involves actual physical taking of the income in the form of cash or property. Okay, so under sa actual receipt, physically na nare-receive natin yung pera or yung property. So for example, kapag nagbebenta tayo, right, tapos yung customer natin is binibigay na sa atin yung pera, from the point na nakuha na natin yung pera, that is an actual receipt of that benefit. Meron na tayong receipt of cash, actual receipt of cash. Kapag meron ng property, right, is, for example, is kapag bumili tayo ng second hand na kotse. So, kapag na-deliver na or kapag naibigay na yung kotse sa atin, yun na yung point na meron tayong actual receipt of that specific car. Right? So, yun yung actual receipt, physically taking of the income. While the constructive receipt, these are involves no actual physical taking of the income, but the taxpayer is effectively benefited. So unlike sa actual receipt, yung constructive receipt kasi, these are just parang lang, parang meron parang uh, there's no actual physical taking, hindi naman natin nakuha, pero parang merong symbol of actually receiving it. So for example, let's just give an example para mas maintindihan nyo. So for example is uh, offset of debt of the taxpayer in consideration for the sales of goods or services. So kung meron tayong utang, right? Kung meron tayong utang from a customer, tapos binentahan natin yung customer na yon. Ang sabi ni customer, hindi ko na babayaran to, pero i-consider ko ng bayad yung utang mo sa akin. Right? So, meron ba tayong na-receive na actual na pera? Answer is no. There is no actual receipt. Pero there is a constructive receipt kasi meron na tayong benefit from the payment of the debt, right? From the payment of the debt, na parang na-feel na natin or na-enjoy na natin yung benefit of that specific transaction. So kahit wala tayong nare-receive na pera, that is actually considered to be a benefit, that is considered to be an income from the transaction. So hindi necessary na kailangan natin makuha yung pera. So the next one is deposit of income to the taxpayer's checking account. Okay? So for if meron tayong, let's say, online business, tapos instead of paying yung customer natin, instead of paying to us directly, sabi niya ide-deposit ko na lang sa bank account mo. So from the moment na na-deposit na niya yung bank account, yung pera sa bank account, there's a constructive receipt of that specific payment. So hindi natin nahahawakan yung pera physically, pero there's a constructive receipt in the form of the increase of our bank account. So meron na tayong na-derive na benefit from that transaction, thus there is a constructive receipt. Another example, matured detachable interest coupons on coupon bonds not yet encashed by the taxpayer. So this is just accounting stuff. So let's just skip yung example na yun. Increase in the capital of a partner from the profit of the partnership. Okay? So under sa partnership, kapag meron tayong income sa partnership, yung income na yun is dinidistribute sa mga capital balance ng mga partners, ng mga may-ari ng isang partnership. So kapag nag-increase na yung capital balance ng isang partner, hindi siya nakaka-receive ng actual money or pera, pero there is a constructive receipt, right? So ganun yung constructive receipt. So constructive receipt of let's say property. So paano natin makaka-constructive receipt ng property? So if let's say bumili tayo ng bahay, right? Hindi naman may de-deliver or di naman physically na may bibigay yung bahay sa atin. So yung point na lang na constructive receipt, if we buy a house, is kapag na-transfer na yung titulo sa atin, right? So from the transfer of title, nagkakaroon ka na ng benefit, thus there is a constructive receipt there. So ganun yung kapag properties. So the next part, benefits in absence of transfers. So sabi dito, increase in wealth in the form of appreciation or increase the value of his properties or decrease in the value of his obligation in the absence of sale or barter transaction is not taxable. So kung meron man tayong kapag meron man tayong increase in wealth but there is no exchange transaction, there is no transfer, then it is not taxable. So for example, unrealized gains or holding gains from investments in securities, real properties, foreign currencies held, okay, and denominated debt. So, itong mga to, so for example, bumili tayo nag-invest tayo ng, let's say, stocks, right? Kapag nag-invest tayo ng stocks, tinitignan natin kung nag increase yung value ng stocks. So, even though meron tayong increase ng value ng stocks, so for example, bumili tayo ng, let's say, 1,000 stocks ng Jollibee for 50,000 pesos. Tapos, over time, nag-increase yung value ng stocks natin to 65,000 pesos. So, meron nga tayong benefit doon. Nag-increase yung value ng stocks natin. Pero hindi iyon realized benefit kasi wala pa tayong exchange transaction, right? So para ma-realize yung benefit natin, kailangan muna nating ibenta yung stocks natin para ma-consider na ma-realize and thus to be taxable. Pero kung hindi pa yun na ibebenta, wala pang exchange transaction, it is not yet realized, thus it is not yet taxable. Same goes with the birth of animal, accrual of fruits, and growth of vegetables, right? So for example, meron tayong baboy, tapos yung baboy na yon is nagkaanak ng isang dosena, sabi mo na lang. So, if meron tayong benefit, right, from that kasi nga nag-increase yung alaga natin, pwede na natin siyang magkakaroon tayo ng additional income from that. Pero it is not yet a realized benefit kasi nga wala pa tayong exchange transaction. Saka lang ito maging realized kapag ibebenta natin. Same goes with the increase in value of land. So, right, so yung mga land natin, yung mga lupa natin, kahit na nag-i-increase yung value nila, hindi yun isang realized benefit hanggat hindi natin ito maibebenta. So saka lang tayo talaga magkakaroon ng realized benefit kapag meron tayong exchange transaction. Kapag in-exchange na natin iyon for other properties or for cash. So the rendering of services, the entire consideration received from rendering of services such as compensation income or service fees is an item of gross income. So under sa rendering of services, di ba, wala naman tayong nag-give up na property. Hindi naman tayo nagbebenta. Pero meron naman tayong labor, right? Yung labor na yun yung binibigay natin in consideration for the compensation na makuha natin. So yung buong compensation na yon na makukuha natin, it is subject to income tax. So wala tayong madededuct doon. So for example, meron tayong compensation na 15,000 per month. So yung 15,000 na yon, that is subject to income tax. Okay, so the following are not taxable. Income of qualified employee trust fund. So revenues of non-profit, non-stock education institutions, PCSO or lotto winnings. Okay, so ito walang income tax ang mga to. SSS, GSIS, Pag-ibig and PhilHealth benefits, salaries and wages of minimum wage earners and qualified senior citizen. Okay, so kung yung salary mo is considered to be minimum wage or mga qualified senior citizen ka, wala kang exempt ka sa income tax. Regular income of barangay micro business enterprises. So yung mga BMPE, which is barangay micro business enterprises, ito yung mga maliliit na stores under sa barangay. So for example, sari-sari store. So yung mga income ng sari-sari store, hindi ito subject sa income tax kasi it is exempted by the law. Income of foreign government and foreign government-owned controlled corporations. So hindi ito natatax kasi nga this is part of the government and hindi naman tinatax ang government ang sarili nito or foreign government specifically para to. So, hindi tinatax ang government ang ibang government ng ibang nation. Right? Income of international mission and organizations with income tax immunity. So kung meron kang income tax immunity, of course, naturally, hindi ka subject sa income tax. Okay, so 25 minutes na pala. So this will end our discussion for today. So next meeting na tayo. Next meeting, ito ng types of income taxpayer. Okay? So again, thank you for listening, class, and goodbye.